About making pemmican and some of the history. Does anybody know what pemmican is? I've had a lot of people ask. So it's been called the ultimate survival food. It's one of the main foods that the Native Americans used when they were traveling around the countryside. And a lot of people think that it probably came across the Bering Strait 14,000 years ago when people migrated. So basically it's a combination of any kind of dried meat, a dried berry, some kind of fat, and whatever seasoning you want. I've got recipes here if you want to pass those around. You can take those home and try it. So I've got 3 different kinds here. I made the beef one, the peanut butter one, and the chicken one, and I'll have samples of those later on. So first thing we want to do is I pre-chopped some of this. This is dried beef. And you could use jerky if you wanted, but I dried my own beef because I didn't want the seasoning and all the salt in it. It's going to be noisy for a little bit. I'm using a food processor. The Native Americans probably did not have a food processor. More than likely, the natives would have used some sort of a stone knife or like an arrowhead scraper that they would have had. They're natural native tools that they were used to using. I'm going to put that in the bowl. And I'm using cranberries today. The main reason I chose cranberries is the natives probably would have had gooseberries or chokecherries, and I figured that'd be the closest to what they would have had, so I chose to use dried cranberries. I'm going to chop those up. I'm going to put those in my bowl. In the lid. Does anybody use? What's that?
It's had some use.
This, yeah. I've used this quite a bit actually. The explorers, the Arctic explorers, started making pemmican when they just did their Arctic explorations because it would store for a long time and they could feed it to the men and the dogs. And the fur trade companies also used this. It started about the late 1700s. So after you get this all mixed together, you just use a spoon, mix it up. I'm going to pour in my melted fat, and this is just beef tallow that I melted myself off my own beef. Just mix that up. Does anybody have any questions so far? No? Pretty simple. There's nothing hard about this. You can add honey if you want to sweeten this, or any kind of seasoning, salt, pepper, kind of your own taste. Once you get all that mixed up, you just put it in any sort of a pan. You can also make patties. If you want to like use a little ice cream scoop or a scoop and make a patty and flatten it out, you can do that too. And then just form. I like to form it into like a little loaf, mash it in there pretty good, and then once you get this far, you just let it cool and set up on its own, and it will keep indefinitely. This stuff I've had probably 3 or 4 weeks in my refrigerator, and it's good to go. So anybody want a sample? This is the beef one. That's beef. This recipe is what I just made.
You put meat in there. I didn't see you put meat in the other one.
It was dried meat, yeah. The first
dried meat.
stuff I put in the food processor first was dried meat.
How did you dry your beef?
I just slice it real thin and put it in the food dehydrator. Just your typical food dehydrator that you have at home. You can dry it in an oven or just out on trays.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
And any kind of fruit, Yes.
What do you suppose the calorie with the tallow?
Quite a bit.
Well, they needed the calories,
But they
right?
They needed the calories.
Yeah.
It was survival food, and they were really physically active. They were packing their own food and moving around and walking and stuff, packing their camps up, so they needed the calories to live on. Lakota Sioux called this any kind of pemmican wasna, which meant anything ground up. And the word pemmican actually is the Cree word for fat. Huh?
Maybe that was the
To
key.
stick it together and preserve it too.
Did you use bacon grease?
You could use any kind of fat. This is that chicken coconut oil one.
Crisco, if you don't have,
Oh yeah.
it's not
Any hard kind of fat. This is the coconut oil. You wouldn't want to use like vegetable oil or olive oil. You want something that's going to stick together when it solidifies.
No vegetables, chicken. Chicken.
I would use the vegetable shortening you could. You want to have something that's going to solidify so it'll stick together.
No, the peanut butter one. Not big in this one.
The chicken one was kind of different. It really dried hard when it ground it. It was really, really hard to get chopped up because there wasn't as much fat in it. Huh?
Any chicken?
Skinny chicken, yeah.
When we got chicken, when we go home, we get after it.
I think we need to go out and take a big fire.
So what do you guys think? You're gonna go home and make pemmican, right? Huh? So do you have any questions on us? The turkeys that are in your yard, yeah. I'm sure they probably did use turkey. They probably used anything they could catch. So, any questions, anybody?
I just want to make a comment. We had made some a few years ago, and we eat a square of it about that big, and that was a whole breakfast. Like, I'm serious. You'd be full, like truly full. Not
It's
diet.
filling. I mean, you think about what's in it. It's solid
Yeah.
protein and fat, and it's a full meal. That's why the people that explored the Arctic could live on it, and their dogs could live on it too. So it's, yeah.
So back then, they didn't have to worry about keeping it cool at all.
Well, when it was cold, then mostly this was winter food. They make it in the late summer or the fall and the cool months, and they'd use it to store in the winter time because their berries and stuff were all, frozen.
Yeah.
So it was more of a winter time, and also more likely the northern tribes used it. Any other questions?
But if it's dried meat, you wouldn't need to worry about it.
What's that?
If it's dried meat, you don't need to worry about it.
Any kind of chemicals. And the only thing they might have put in it was maybe a little salt, or if there was something they wanted to use to season it with, but no chemicals.
Yeah, but it won't spoil because it's dried meat.
Right. That's the reason they dried the meat and the berries. It would be preserved by itself. So, any other questions? No.
I've seen ads pop up on Facebook all the time, so there was a tutorial, and it just looks so complicated.
Huh? So complicated?
It looked complicated.
It's
and
not
you do it, and I'm
complicated.
like, well, that's easy.
Yeah, it's easy. And take those recipes home and try them. They're exactly what I made here in smaller batches, but that's exactly the same recipes I used, and it's not complicated at all.
Right. Well, they made it I guess they just wanted the length of their video. I don't
It
know.
lasts longer, yeah. It doesn't take very long. The longest thing is drying the meat, because it would take half a day or a day to dry the meat and the berries also. But it's really not complicated. So, like you said, they would wrap this in a piece of cloth or maybe a hide or whatever they had and would carry it to the camp that way. And that's what they lived on in the wintertime. So, any other questions?
Whatever, other than this and wintertime, what else would they have access to?
Whatever they could forage, maybe fish or wild game in the area. There might be some vegetation that they could get a hold of, if it wasn't buried in the snow. But
Yeah,
it's just whatever they were hunters and gatherers, so they lived on whatever they could find.
whatever you find.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Any other questions? So which variety do you like the best? The peanut butter?
Peanut butter.
I'm with you, yeah. Huh?
I like the beef.
Would you like the beef one? Yeah. It's kind of bland. I didn't put any seasoning or any honey in that. But you could put some salt or pepper or whatever you wanted in it. If you wanted to season it that way. But you could make this if you're going to go on a long hunting trip or a long hike trip, and it would, feed you and keep you full of energy and stuff on your trip. So you guys that want to go elk hunting and take long treks and pack your elk, there you go.
Can you do it with fish?
I'm sure you could. Yeah, it's literally any kind of draw. It's kind of whatever you want to do.
It would be nice. It would be kind of fine, or it would be not stick together as good maybe.
Out of the
For a
fish?
because they're not real meaty.
I think you're going to grind it up and chop it up fine anyway. The fat is what holds it together. So I would think it hold together pretty well. I don't see why it wouldn't. So. Any other questions? No? Huh? Nothing they can think of? Alrighty, well thank you for coming, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Feel free to have some more samples there. So.
Michael Stulkin did things right. And what Nathan Todd did in that meeting, dressing him down, he said not to pick sides. No, he did pick sides. And he picked Becky Hadlock's side. And once again, Becky Hadlock was wrong. So thank you on behalf of the people of Weston County to Michael Stulkin for stepping up and doing the job that the people elect him to do.
Well, and not only was she wrong, but once we finally got our records request, she was even more wrong because it was incomplete. And the state public records ombudsman admitted that and said that those documents should have been included. So I just find it interesting that everybody puts faith in someone who continues to make the same mistakes, which at this point aren't mistakes.